So let's now talk about the operator module. So in the operator module, we'll look at a few functions, which are mul, LT, that stands for less than, setItem, and item getter. There are many more, and I encourage you to look at the module description. So let's construct some data. Let's look at the squares of the numbers between 0 and 5. And then let's apply map. And we have seen this usage of map before, map with some function, and then two different lists. So it's the same in both cases. The difference is that here this function is not defined with lambda notation. This function is already defined in the operator module. So the first one, just take the product pairwise. So this is the product of the first square, which is 0, and the first in this range, which is 5. This is the product of the second square, which is 1, and the second in this range, which is 6, and so on. And we all can also do comparisons. So is the square less than the number corresponding to it? And this is true up until the square gets large enough that it's actually bigger, so you get false. Okay, so the advantage here is that operator has some built-in functions like mul and less than that are useful. All right, so to talk about the other two functions, setItem and item getter, I would like to define some data. So here I have some data about geometric shapes. And you see that shapes is now a list, and this list consists of many dictionaries with some name and some measurements, so the area, and some number of corners. Okay, so what can we do with this? Well, we can use map. We can do something for every shape that is defined. And what should we do? Well, maybe we want to extract the kind and the area of the object. And that's exactly what item getter allows you to do. So item getter, with some arguments, defines a little function that will go take whatever arguments it gets. It will go get the attributes that it has been given. So let me try this again. So here we're giving two arguments to item getter, kind and area. And we're constructing a function. This is the output of this here, will be a function that just takes x and returns x bracket kind and x bracket area. So it goes and gets the keys in x, kind, and area. So let's apply this to shapes. And we'll see that we just got the kind and the area each time for every object there. So setItem does the opposite. setItem will take the object and go set some key to a certain value. So here we're saying that all the different shapes are actually two-dimensional shapes. And we get a lot of none because setItem returns none because it's setting some value. But if we look at shapes, shapes has changed now because every object in it or every dictionary in it has a key value pair dimension, 2. All right, so let's define a new function, and I'll call that function awesomeness. So it's a product of the area and the number of corners and the area. So you could define it this way, but you could also, in the functional programming spirit way, program it like this. So it takes x and returns the multiplication of the result, area, and corners on x applied to x. So let's define this function, and then we can apply this to every shape. So this is what map does here, and we can take the sum. So this is the total awesomeness of all the different shapes. But now that we have this function that we have defined, we can start doing interesting things again. So we can ask for the maximum of the shapes for a certain awesomeness. So shapes hasn't changed, right? Awesomeness is not there. But we can ask for the shape with the maximal awesomeness, and this is given by the square, let's say. I don't think so, but okay. And we can also sort the shapes according to that key. So this is done here. We first sort in place, and then we ask to print the shapes. So the circle is not so awesome because it has 0 corners. So this hurts it when computing the awesomeness. The awesomeness of the circle is 0. But then it goes up all the way to the square. Okay, so this was a very quick introduction to the operator module. But basically, the operator module is a mine where a lot of useful little functions can be found, and it takes a while to use, but it's kind of to get used to it, but it's kind of fun to use it afterwards.